guys, this is Felix Bravo, and you are watching Unpacked. And today we have an incredible guest based out of here in Puerto Rico, Miss Veronica Figueroa, a serial entrepreneur who has crushed it in the real estate industry and multiple other facets that we will dive into. Were you born in Puerto Rico?
No. I was born in Germany. Yeah, but fun fact, my parents are from Puerto Rico, and they were the first to leave and go into the military.
Oh.
And I was born in Germany, but my mom would only talk to me in Spanish in the house because she says, you're going to learn English outside. I want to make sure we keep our culture alive, no matter where we live.
Maternal tongue.
Yeah. And every summer they would send me to Puerto Rico.
Really?
Yeah. So, and my aunts and grandma and everybody,
You
of
still have
course.
family here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
A lot of family here still. You've been to Ponce?
No?
South part of the island, it's amazing. People from Ponce say, Ponce es Ponce y lo demás es parking. It means, like, in other words, to the people from Ponce, they're like, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
They're very proud. It's actually the largest city on the island.
Did you pick up any German?
I did when I was little, but I left at 7 and then I never went back. So it's kind of like, if you don't use it, you lose it. You know?
Where'd you go after Germany?
My dad did 2 terms there. He did Stuttgart and Frankfurt. In between those duty stations, we went to Kansas one time, Junction City, Kansas.
Okay.
And then after that, it was Columbus, Georgia. Now, fun fact, my mom opened the first Borinquen shop, which is, it was a record, at the time, record store in Junction City, Kansas. Because there was a lot of Latinos, so she would bring the Latinos together. And she would fly to New York City, Chicago, or different places to bring the typical music and the products that people wanted in places where there were military bases and a lot of Latinos, but they didn't have access to the Latino products. Yeah. She did that in Kansas, then she did it in Georgia. Amazon. Yep. And then in Georgia, she opened the very first Puerto Rico bodega.
Oh, wow.
In Columbus, Georgia. She opened the first Puerto Rican restaurant in Columbus, Georgia. And my mom was a producer that she would bring artists, people like Marc Anthony, people like Gilbertito Santa Rosa, all those top salseros. My mom was the one that would host the concerts and the parties.
So your mom was a serial entrepreneur.
Yes, that's where.
And I'm sure we can unpack that a little bit as to why you are who you are now.
Yeah. Wow. That's so cool.
Like the Home Alone lady.
This is like Home Alone. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is great.
So your mom, serial entrepreneur, as you're growing up, which I think from a lot of people I've met who become entrepreneurs tends to be like a common theme, is either their parents were serial entrepreneurs or their parents were like the furthest things from entrepreneurs, and it drives them into that. What was your kind of path as you were growing up? What did you think you were going to do versus what you've become nowadays?
Yeah, so of course there was always you had big dreams. My mom was like, you could be an attorney, and I always loved to debate. So and I was a talker, so she was like, and I really did I love history and law, and my dad is very big into history. So just having conversations with him, I was always interested in politics. I was always interested in government. So the idea was that I was possibly going to go to law school. But from a young age, I worked at my mom's shop. Yeah. So at the age of 12, I would have to go into the shop and help with the bodega, and whether it was the cash register, was making the bread, whether it was helping the clients. So I got to see behind the scenes a little bit of what it looked like to work for a family business. And when I graduated high school, I was a single mother. I was a young mom. That was not planned, of course. Yeah. But now I graduate and I have a child. Yeah. And I had to figure out what I was going to do in life. And I kind of struggled a little bit with, that decision. Living in Orlando and in Puerto Rico, actually, I worked here in El Conquistador. I worked my way up from the PBX department. You're so young, you don't even know what that is.
I don't know what PBX.
It's like the operator room. down in the dungeon. We would take all the calls.
Yeah.
So think of me like the ISA.
Unplugging things and
clicking
the buttons.
Yeah, it was a big dashboard, but think of me like a modern day, old school ISA, directing the calls.
You were the original AI?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was working at this iconic resort in Puerto Rico called El Conquistador. It's amazing. Everybody wanted to work there.
Still around?
It's still around, but it's changed ownerships, and it's no longer what it used to be, in my opinion. But it was an iconic destination for the world. People from all over the world would come here. I mean, Mariah Carey, Michael Jordan, Whitney Houston, the prince of different countries, awesome. You name it. High net worth individuals would come from all over the world. Worked there, and I remember being in the department, and there were agents, ladies who would say, "Oh, once you're in here, you never get out." And I was like, "I'm getting out." Yeah. I was like, "I'm getting out. I want to work over there. I want to work with I want to work with the clients, with the guests. I want to meet them." And I ended up working my way up to this department that was pretty hard to get into, which is Las Casitas. It's where the highest echelon of the clients' guests would stay. But I got the opportunity to do that because I recognized that they had about 2,000 employees, and a lot of people didn't know each other. To me, in my opinion, a lot of people didn't know people's stories. Right. And I started a newsletter for the entire company, get to know the voice, the person behind the voice of the PBX operator room.
That's cool.
So I started telling stories of the employees who are the ones who handle thousands of calls and greet your clients and greet the guests and the guest call.
Did this go out to just internal company?
Started off our department, then next thing you know, housekeeping department wanted it, and marketing eventually, HR eventually. I got called to the GM's office and the HR's office, manager's office. They're like, "Who are you? Like, why are you?" And I was self-taught on my little compact computer and doing this, newsletter just to highlight people. Yeah. And I think that goes back to what my mom taught me. Like, she was always the person for the people, the person advocating for people, the person wanting to say, like, "Come tell your story." Yeah. So I just did that, and my ultimate goal was to get a job in human resources. Okay. I was fascinated with the opportunity that we would have in human resources, so I ended up deciding to go to college for human resources. I was actually going to college at the same time, and I got a job in human resources while I also was in school, and I was like, okay, so this is my calling. Yeah. HR is my calling. Like, that's my jam. Yeah. And I ended up getting a job in HR, and then eventually moved out here, back to Orlando, and worked in HR for the hospitality industry, and then eventually the medical field. But in between that, I had my real estate license. Okay. I had got my real estate license.
Was there a reason you decided to get into, or was it one of those things where, because in Florida, so many people are like, just get it, like you might as well.
A friend of mine, he was like, "Hey, you just graduated from college, you just moved here, you haven't gotten your HR job yet, you should get your real estate license because timeshare is going to make you rich."
Timeshare.
And I'm like, what? He was like, "Just come to class with me." He was like, "Let's do it. What's one?" I was like, "You know what? What's one more certification?" I was like, "I'm sure I can use it for my own personal use." Yeah. So he didn't pass the class, and I did. And I ended up, just getting my license. I was like, okay. Yeah. So I ended up getting hired for HR for a timeshare company. Okay. So that was cool, because then I was the one, recruiting and hiring for the departments. And every once in a while, I'd go into the timeshare training, and I would watch and observe how, the reps would, sell timeshare, and I learned a lot. So, but I didn't do anything with it full time because I was like, timeshare's not for me.
It's grueling sales.
Yeah. So HR was my thing. Loved helping place employees. Obviously, I love recruiting. Yeah. I love listening to someone's dreams and saying, "Oh, I think this is a great role for you." Yeah. And that's where my passion for recruiting came, and not even knowing I was going to use it later on in my life, in my own personal business. But so it was HR. And then when I got divorced, I needed to supplement my income because I realized I couldn't make a living or give my children the lifestyle that I wanted to give them off of the salary that I was making in HR, unless I worked my way up. And I was still a generalist, maybe a manager, but not a director. Right. And I said, well, maybe real estate can supplement my income. And I got my license, I dusted it off. And within 3 months, I had like 7 pendings.
Wow.
And I was like, oh wait, this is an opportunity here.
someone you looked up to who was like, this is the person that's doing this within the real estate industry, I want to go do that?
I had a neighbor. He was super awesome, and to this day we're friends. And this was 20-something years ago. I watched him. He was a great agent. He was a Century 21 agent, actually.
Okay.
And I just watched how he was, and I just watched the lifestyle he was, they were living. He was a great father. He was present at all the games. He just was loved by everybody in the community. And I was like, I want to do what you do.
Yeah.
I was like, can you teach me? And I remember he helped me write my first contract, and he actually pulled me to the side. He says, if you follow the playbook, you'll be really good.
Yeah.
And he just believed in me, and I was like, okay. And then of course my husband was like, dude, why aren't you doing this full time?
Yeah.
He says, you could do this. And we had moved to a community where there was an agent who dominated, and I was like, I want to do it, but someone already dominates. He was like, who cares? There's room for both of you.
Yeah.
And those two people really played a big part in my life, in my career, to say, you can do this.
Yeah.
You really can. And they were doing it already at a high level.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could do what they do.
Yeah.
And my confidence also would whisper, and I could do it better.
Yeah.
And I could do some of the things that they're not doing. I have energy. I have 5 kids at the time. Now I married my husband, and we had 5 kids together. I was like, I have a bigger why than most realize, and that's what led me to make the decision to go all in farming. And that's when I started farming a specific community, and I was like, I'm going to dominate this community. And for 16 years, we dominated a specific community that was where I raised my kids. So I just took what my mom taught me, and I just applied it to that community.
Yeah.
And I became pretty much the neighborhood mayor.
And you're now not just dominating in your community. You've expanded your business, which we'll get into, but you've expanded outside of just a neighborhood, right? You're operating not just in different states, but in different countries, different continents at this point. Your mom taught you somewhat to how to become an entrepreneur, right? Showed you what life could be if you decide to be the one to kind of take the wheel, and you jump into real estate. You have 7 pendings in your first 3 months. When was the, oh crap, I don't think this is going to work moment? Because every entrepreneur has the moment where they're like, wow, this is incredible, we're going to do this. And then you have the, oh crap, this is why being an entrepreneur is hard.
I mean, it's no secret the 2008 crash was hard. I remember the same thriving community that I was selling in became a ghost town.
When did you start?
2004.
Okay, so you had already hit 4 years under your belt
Yeah.
of building a
And
business.
3 really good years. I mean, 2005, 2006-ish, and 7 were pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then you start feeling the turn in latter part of 2007, beginning of 2008, and you're like, wait, this is changing. A lot of the loans were becoming, obviously we're ballooning. People were getting out of those 80-20 loans, or they couldn't get out of them, and they were going into foreclosure.
Yeah.
But my real oh shit moment, this is scary, was in 2008. I remember looking at my husband. I said, we need to file bankruptcy.
Okay.
We need to short sell the house. This isn't sustainable.
And from the outside looking in, would anyone have guessed that you were in that situation?
A couple of people who knew us, obviously, we shared some struggles that we were going through. I even took a job with Charles Schwab for 6 months. Oh, wow. I was like, you know what, maybe I'm gonna get out of real estate. Everything's doom and gloom right now.
Yeah.
My daughter needed health insurance. She was having some issues, and I was like, I need to do what's best for my family. And I went to work for Charles Schwab. I was like, let me fall back on my career, on my degree. Charles Schwab is a great company, and it was the most miserable 6 months of my life. When I took that job, Charles Schwab was great, but I knew in my heart I was meant to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I played it safe. I went in the job route. I told my husband, in 2008, I was like, we're gonna have to make some strategic business decisions or financial decisions if this is gonna work.
Right.
But it was in that moment that I said, This is not easy, but I committed at that moment. I said, but I'm making a decision that I'm going to be a great agent in any market, no matter what the situation is. So if the market's crashing and there's going to be there's going to be only a few agents that are going to do well, then I'm going to be one of those agents. 2008, and that's when I broke into the REO market. I said I need to go where the business is at. Yeah. And REO, the short sales. So I researched every single bank that was approving short sales rather quickly, and I researched where the asset managers would meet, where they would go for education conferences, and where agents who were in the REO business would go and network. And I took my last $5,000 to Dallas at 5-star, and
the rest is history with that.
I set the intention and I went on a mission, and I met one person who knew another person. I always say you're one relationship away from your life changing.
Yeah. You identified from someone who was at a quote unquote at the time higher level than you, issues in their own business, which when I was getting into this industry, one of the reasons I got into it was because I met other realtors who I knew were making a killing and were doing great. And then I would kind of spend time with them and I'd be like, man, I feel like I could do this better. And it sounds so naive. It also sounds so ignorant at times and arrogant, but that is that mentality that you have to have. Identifying those issues, executing on them on your own team. And then when you first started formulating that team, you're great at selling a vision. But it's hard to sell the first person. So usually the hard is, who is the first person on your team?
The first person on my team was my husband. I convinced him to quit his job and come work for me, and he thought I was crazy. Yeah. I was like, babe, I'm either gonna have to pay someone else or I need you to come and work for me. Yeah. And from him, after him,
shout out your husband, by the way. I've met him. He's incredible.
He's amazing. He is so amazing. And he's been my biggest supporter, and always just breathes life into the fact that he's like, you can do this. And he believes in my dreams, which is a really important thing when you have a partner, especially if you're gonna do this.
Have you ever had anybody within your sort of inner circle who didn't believe in your dreams? Mm-hmm. How challenging was that, and how did you resolve it? Because I think that's the most impactful people, is the ones close to you shut down your vision, and those are the ones that hurt. Those are the ones that knock your armor down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, and oftentimes they don't even mean it in a bad way. It's usually from a place of wanting to protect you. My mother-in-law worked for 35 years in the insurance business. She was very conservative. My father-in-law worked at the same job for 30 years. They, this belief, my mom, the same thing. She's like, are you crazy? You're gonna walk away from a guaranteed salary to do this real estate thing. What happens if you don't get paid? I was like, Mom, all of them told us, be careful, this is risky, it's not stable, and you guys have 5 kids. This is a crazy idea. Yeah. And we could have fell into that belief system as well, but we chose to go the complete opposite and say, what if it does work out? Yeah. What could it look like? We'd be able to raise our kids, we'd be able to be our own bosses, we'd be able to, have flexibility and design this with no limit. And that's what we opted for. Yeah. And it was our family that at first made us believe, you're crazy, why are you guys doing this? You got 5 kids, does it make sense? You've been divorced once,
Nothing makes sense until it does.
Sometimes it doesn't have to make sense.
You really, really built your business and started building your team after 2008, REOs. Yeah. And when I first started getting into the industry, which wasn't until 2014, I started asking a lot of people, how did you do this? People who were, and all of them, almost all of them at the time had I really took off after 2008 kind of story. Yeah. 2008, everything crashed, and either I was in it before or I had just gotten started and now I was able to take off. And we just experienced in the US one of the worst real estate markets for the last couple of years, in the last 40 years. And I think there's a lot of people who have left the industry, and everyone acts like, oh, this has never happened before. And then in 10 years or in 7 years, someone's going to say the same thing, wow, this has never happened before. What would be your advice to agents who either just got in or they rode the COVID wave and thought life's great and then things crash? What is your advice to those young agents now who are coming up?
Yeah, I think there's this saying, right? You may have heard it. history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes.
Yeah.
And I swear by that because I'm like, ooh, I feel like I've been here before, or I remember something similar.
Yeah.
And this is what it feels like right now. I remember after the 2008 crash and then the REO market around 2012, I rode it long enough that I felt when it started shifting after it was bad.
Yeah.
You know, it started getting, like the market started to balance itself out, reestablish itself. Buyers were getting confidence again. You know, sellers were selling for the right reasons, not because they were losing their homes, but now because they, you know, had a little bit of equity. And I remember riding that wave and saying, I'm really glad I stayed the course. I'm really glad I didn't give up. And I remember I had made that promise that I was going to be a great agent in any market. And I wanted to live by that. 2012, when the market started shifting, I made another intention. I set another intention that I was going to dominate in my particular community, and that I was going to serve the families in that community. And it feels like right now, very similar to where, okay, the markets, you know, we've gone through the last 3 years and it's been tough. I still think we have a little bit longer to go.
Yeah.
Not too much, but you know, I try to be optimistic. But I think the hardest part has passed, which is preparing yourself mentally that this is not going to be the same market that we were in, and you have to embrace the fact that, you know, you're going to have to learn new skill sets. Like if you're an agent who you're not embracing AI, or you're not doing video, and you're not, you know, learning reels or doing videos, community tours, and understanding that social media is a part of the future, then yeah, I understand if you feel a little, you know, stressed because you don't feel that the market is in your favor.
Yeah.
But if you are an agent that you are adapting and you are finding ways to be seen and find the business that's out there, you are being seen, you're gonna survive, you're gonna thrive, and you're gonna come out on the other side. Those agents who said, I started in that market and I thrived through the down market. You know,
Yeah.
I grew through the downfall and I thrived on the other side of it. That's how I look at it. And I'm seeing agents that, you know, are newer in this business that they're crushing it in this market.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't have they're not, I would say mindset has a lot to do with it. They're not negative. They're like, okay, I'm out there. I'm going to do the work that my mentors are telling me I should be doing. They're keeping a positive outlook, even though it's tough. They are leaning in and asking for help from leaders who have, you know, obviously built something prior to them. And they are, you know, just, I would say adapting and it's not a bad market for those who are, in my opinion, doing the activities that are going to get them now business. We had our best month last month. We had 87 executed contracts in the month of August. Our best month since before COVID.
Wow.
Since you know, after COVID. 87 contracts in 1 month in August. The last 5 months, we've been the #1 team for EXP in Florida 5 months in a row.
Wow.
Units, not volume, not sometimes units and volume, but units, to me, volume protects your business. And you know, I'm not sitting here saying it's an easy market, but what I'm saying is this market rewards those who are putting in the work. And that is, to me, the formula in any market.
Right.
The market rewards those who put in the activities that lead to new business.
But then what happens every time is the people who learn how to build a business during a not great market or a down market, when the market eventually does shift, they're not just at the top, they're like at the tip of the iceberg. They explode. They get that hockey stick level of growth.
Yeah, right now for us, and just to wrap up, it's interesting. We launched our luxury division, crushing it.
Yeah.
We launched our video division, crushing it. I've got agents that specifically want to be on our video division team.
Wow.
And we obviously are a Zillow Flex team. We're a team that has a lot of strategic partnerships. And now we're launching our senior division. You know, specifically on our team, we are also adapting and finding ways to say, okay, where is there opportunity? Where is the transfer of wealth and I would say talent going? And some of our seasoned agents still want to be a part of our community and they want to specialize in 55 and up. I'm like, okay, that's a huge market that a lot of people are neglecting. So we're going to build a division.
So we're, just to finish things up, we're in San Juan.
Yeah.
We're in Puerto Rico, which is incredible and a very, very special part of EXP and the company that we're a part of, that we get to do this and get to expand our businesses internationally. What was that like for you when you got to give back to this community that had given you so much in your upbringing?
Yeah, it was super special. We had a vision of seeing Puerto Rico be a part of, the expansion at EXP early on.
Yep.
And we did it during COVID. We were all home, we were locked in, we were checking in on our friends, checking in on our real estate friends that we had met through the industry, whether it was NAREP or conferences or, they knew us, and, it was the perfect time. And we asked your team, how do we do this? They said, get us, who do you know that wants to be a part of EXP? And we just started making phone calls. It's like anything else, inviting people to the opportunity. And we didn't know if, how long it was going to take, but we just knew, like, if any country is going to open, or any island, Puerto Rico has to be the next one.
Yeah.
And we had like 300 agents showing interest, and it was a lot of fun. And I'll never forget, it was, I believe, January 2021 when we officially launched, January or February 2021 that it happened. Actually here in San Juan at the Fairmont, we came, and it was a special moment. And my friend Rebecca Soto, myself, Josue Soto, my husband Tony, we celebrated as if it was like a moment of history. Like,
it was
for
a
us,
full circle moment.
It was historic. It was like, this is a game changer. They have no idea how their lives are going to change.
Yeah.
And I've had the pleasure of being a part of the growth here. And I own multiple properties here, so I spend a lot of time here. And I have a lot of partners here. And I just love everybody who's a part of EXP Puerto Rico. They're very special to me.
And it's not just Puerto Rico. You've expanded into Dominican Republic and other places in South America and Europe, and now you're Miss Worldwide.
I love it. Yeah, I have partners. I think every time I rattle off, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. We have people in Dubai, Egypt now, Spain. It's just like, I'm like, they're in my world. Somehow they're in my world, whether it's direct, a direct connection, or through one of our partners. And it's so much fun, and also so inspiring to know what Glenn built, and obviously what you guys are doing is like, there is no limit.
Yeah.
There is no limit of what's possible here. It's really special. And again, going back to my passion, which my mom instilled in me, is like, this is the model that rewards leadership and incentivizes connections that are, really, really special in real estate if you know good people and you want to help people grow. So
incredible. Well, I think we have a top producers dinner to get to with all of our top agents here in Puerto Rico.
Let's do it.
So we're going to head over to that, and I think we'll get a little bit more footage there. Yeah.
Let's do it.